Hey guys, Shakarez here, bringing you the third installment of the LoLpro Quick Guides. Today we'll be taking a look at...
The cycle of life and death continues. We will live, they will die.
That's right, today we're taking a brief look at Nasus. This guide is for the jungle, and the guide author is I Will Dominate from Curse Academy. So let's jump right on to runes. Pretty standard setup for a jungler: attack speed marks, armor seals, magic resist per level glyphs, and movement speed quints. Nasus really needs the movement speed since he doesn't have a gap closing ability, so he really needs to get it in range for his wither as fast as possible. Other alternatives would be armor penetration or hybrid penetration marks and or quintessences, but it does hurt your clearing speed early game. Taking a look at Masteries, Nasus' role is to be a complete tank, so 21 in defense is pretty much a given. The other 9 points should go usually into offense for minion damage, attack damage, and armor penetration. Alternatively, go into the utility tree for mana regeneration, cooldown on summoner spells, and increased neutral buff duration. Taking a look at summoner spells, and one of the biggest problems as Nasus is that he can get easily kited by ranged champions, namely AD carries. So to fight this, you pick Ghost on Nasus. The increased move speed will ensure that you catch up the squishy targets and zone them out of the teamfight. Flash is a valid alternative, although not being as good as Ghost for teamfighting, it might prove as a better tool for defensive purposes. Smite is the second summoner spell you should get, no discussion here, you need it to jungle. For skill order, jungle Nasus is very different from lane Nasus. You max Spirit Fire first, you need it to clear camps. The flat armor reduction it provides also ensures your normal attacks are stronger. Secondly, you should max Wither, you need it in order to pull off successful ganks, and you'll need it in teamfights, so you can shut down the AD carry. The movement and the attack speed slow is completely devastating. Your Sifting Strike should be maxed last with only 1 point at level 1. The amount of stacks it gives is equal regardless of your level, so you won't need it for early game. Your ultimate Fury of the Sands should be picked up whenever possible. Taking a look at the item build, starting items are pretty straightforward. Start with Machete and 5 potions to ensure survivability and faster clear time. Your next purchases should be Spirit Stone to give you more sustain in the jungle, and level 1 boots to improve your ganking. If you have money, you should always pick up 1 or even 2 wards. They will definitely improve your map control and map awareness. Your first big purchase should be Locket of the Iron Solari, starting with Kindle Gem, a great aura item that gives you almost everything you could need. Immediately after that, pick up an Aegis of the Legion, giving you more precious defensive stats for you and your teammates. If you're up against the double AP comp, you should rush Runic Bulwark. If not, you can wait until later. This pretty much sums up your core build, excluding boots, which we'll talk about next. Boots really depend on Nasus' build and the enemy team composition. You should usually go for either Mercury Treads or Boots of Swiftness. Spirit of the Elder Lizard is a good pickup if you want to go more offensive. 40 attack damage and extra true damage is always nice. It also procs on your Spirit Fire, make it even more devastating for teamfights and jungle clearing. Spirit of the Ancient Golem grants health, tenacity, and now 10% cooldown reduction, all key stats for Nasus. Your next purchase should be one of these. Why? Well, they're very cost efficient and slot efficient. Cheap items that were made to combat the limited budget of junglers. If you're not picking up Ancient Golem, get Mercs, you'll need the tenacity. If you're picking up Ancient Golem, go for Boots of Swiftness. They'll improve your chasing power and reduce the potency of slows. The next 2 items should reflect what you need and what your team needs of you. Usually, you'll need at least 1 more defensive item since you already have a decent amount of resists. Health should be your concern. The best pickups are either Warmogs or Randuin's Omen. The last item, if you get to such a stage, can be a defensive option or an offensive option, or maybe even a mix of both. It really depends on the situation. Now let's move on to gameplay. Firstly, let's talk about early game jungling and ganking. Nasus has a pretty decent clear speed, especially after he gets his Spirit Fire. He can clear through camps very fast due to this spell. For more on jungle clearing, check out the Nasus LoLpro Quick Tip. Annotation will be on the screen. So your main concern should be to grab your 2 buffs before ganking. At level 3, you should have 1 point in each skill. Ganking is pretty straightforward. Get in range and cast your Wither. Try to close in and to land a mix of auto attacks and sifting strikes. If your lane has any type of crowd control, you're sure to guarantee at least a flash down on the enemy, if not a kill. Something valid for any type of jungler, but many times people forget. If you gank a lane and force a flash, be sure to come back in less than 5 minutes. You should always pressure a lane that doesn't have an escape. Mid-game and dragon control. Now, in mid-game is when fights for dragon and small 3v3, 4v4 man skirmishes start to happen. To start, Nasus is one of the best junglers regarding dragon control. His ultimate does percentage of maximum health damage, so if you pop your ultimate, you'll take it down fairly quick. In skirmishes and team fights, Nasus works like a brick wall for the team, providing defensive stats all around and a powerful zoning tool. You should be the one in the front line taking most of the damage, but don't move too far off from your team, since they'll lose the orders you're providing. Try to land a good Spirit Fire in the middle of the team fight to reduce the enemy's armor, and remember your ultimate gives you AoE damage, so use that to maximum extent. If possible, land Wither on the AD carry. If you can't reach him, don't try too hard. Wither another priority target. If you have someone jumping on your AD carry, that should be the withering priority, so go for him. Now for a few tips and tricks. There's not much to say here. Nasus is pretty much a basic champion. The biggest tip I can give, and that hasn't been mentioned, is to time neutral objectives and control them. This means blue buff, red buff, dragon, baron, and even sometimes the enemy buffs. If you have control over the map, it'll translate into better team fighting. Nasus isn't the strongest champion early on, so be aware of counter jungling threats. Play smart, play safe. If you manage to do this and team fight well, chances are the game is yours. That's all from me for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Shakarez signing out.